Hello everyone, welcome back to another GMME video. Today we're going to be going through indices. Let's get started. So the content today, we're going to be going through the laws of indices. These are really important and they're quite hard to remember. And then we're going to be going through some extra laws and some fractional and negative indices too. So starting off, which part is the power? It is this part here, so it's anything raised above the number. So 2 to the third, it's the third is the power bit. So indices, they're basically just powers. I never use the word indices ever. I always use powers, and it just means repeated multiplication. So if I say again 2 to the third, 2 to the 3, it's just 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Real life example, let's just think of like a video game. Level 1 could be 10, then 2 10 squared, then 3 10 cubed, and so on. So it just gets harder and harder. So the laws, I always say this, but it means the most on this video. Please check out the Q&A videos to fully understand. You'll kind of get like a recognition of which law to use in each question once you get the hang of it. So stick with it. It does seem confusing, but it will make sense. So start from the top. We're going to be going through multiplication. We're going to be going through division. We're going to be going through power of a power, power of a product, and finally power of a fraction. I would write all of these down because it's handy to have them all in like one chunk, but let's go through them all. So multiplication, basically you just add the powers, assuming the bottom number is the same. So if we have a squared times by a cubed, like I was saying, add the powers, 2 plus 3, that gives you a to the power of 5. Moving on to the next one, division, you just subtract the powers, so a to the 5 divided by a to the 3, that's simply just 5 take away 3, which leaves you with a squared. Moving on to power of a power. So if you have a power inside some brackets and then another power outside, for example, a squared all cubed, it just means that a squared is times by a squared is times by a squared, which gives you a 2 times 3, which is a to the 6. You could just add the powers like before, but it can get a bit confusing, so I recommend you just multiply the powers together. Now power of a product. So if you have ab cubed, you just split up the product. So a cubed times by b cubed. That's it. Now if we go to power of a fraction, if you have a over b to the 5, you basically just split it up and put the 5 on the top and bottom. So it's a to the 5 over b to the 5. Going through them all in like a bit of a grid. Again, if you have the multiplication one, you just add them. If you have a division, you just subtract them. If you have a power of a power, you just times the powers together. If you have a power of a product, you split them up. If you have a power of a fraction, you split them up again and put the power to both the top and bottom. Some extra laws now. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. This means that this big number here is to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Something small like 2 is 1. A negative number is 1. Pi to the 0 is 1, so even infinite numbers to 0 is 1. Anything, you can think of any number, put it to 0, and it will equal 1. Some extra laws again, negative powers. So I kind of, for these next two, I have kind of like a cheat sheet way of doing them. So the technical rule is a to the minus n is equal to 1 over a to the n. Now I don't remember that rule, I don't even visualize it in my head. I only remember over the line, flip the sign. So if you have 10 to the minus 2, you can put it over the line, which means the 1 over, and then flip the power of the sign. So if you do 1 over 10, flip the sign, gets you a positive 2. You could use this equation if you find remembering these easier. And then you can simplify over and you get 1 over 100. Same goes for fractional indices, so you could remember this equation here. So a over m, a to the power of m over n is equal to n over the square root of am. That is a mindful of equation there. I do not remember that. So I split it up. I only really remember this. So a to the m, you leave the top one as the power, and you leave the bottom one outside of the root. So if we put that into practice, if I have 16 to the 1 over 2, the top one you leave as the power, and the bottom one you leave as the root. So if you look here, the 2 goes on the outside and the 1 is in the inside, which is the square root of 16, which gives you 4. So you got to the right to the end, well done. Here's a bit of a recap of all of the things. Indices just means powers. Here's the rules, so 1 to 5. Once you get the hang of it, you'll know which one to use. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. And then negative powers, you can use the over the line flip the sign. And then the fractional indices, you can use the top number as the normal power, and then the bottom number has the outside of the root. Like always, I fully recommend on this one more that you check out the Q&A so you can get like a idea of when to use each of the rules. It's very important. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Hope you have a good day.